Hey, I'm your host, Dr. Desiree Cassell. I'm an orthopedic and pelvic floor physical therapist specializing in women's health, aka pelvic floor. I'm a wife, mom of 3, foodie, lover of all things movement and nature, and I'm super passionate about educating, empowering, and supporting other women like you to find and maintain balance throughout all aspects of their lives, without pain, pressure, or peeing their pants. And this is the Balanced Momtality Podcast, where we will talk about all things pelvic floor, your core, and optimizing your pregnancy, birth, and postpartum recovery, providing you with the knowledge and tools so that you can feel like the strong, playful, and happy mom that you and your family deserve. Now let's get you out of those pads and back to loving movement. Fill up your water, pop in those AirPods, roll out your mat, and let's connect. Before we start today's episode, just a quick disclaimer that anything mentioned in this podcast is not meant to treat or diagnose any medical conditions. If you have any questions or concerns about your healthcare needs, please seek the care of your medical provider. This is also a safe space where we will be talking about very sensitive but important topics, such as issues with peeing and pooping, relationships, and even sex. So if you have littles around, probably a good idea to pop those AirPods in. But otherwise, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Hey girl, we are back this week. I hope you enjoyed the last couple episodes where we really dove into the complexity of having tension and weakness in your body, because it is tricky when you're trying to build strength in a body that's holding so much guarding. We can cause a lot more pain and it will make that whole road frustrating. And so I outlined a couple episodes in the last couple weeks to hopefully help you get through that hump, see things a little bit more clearly, and give you some tools to help navigate that. But if you have any other issues or questions, definitely reach out. Let's do some coaching. If you're in person, we can see you there, but there are resources for you. However, this week, I wanted to dive into something a little bit more fun because it is warming up outside here in New Mexico, here in the 505, and I am all about it. Our winter was shitty. We barely had a winter at all, it seems like. The wind, the cold, it was terrible. There was barely any snow and I am over it. So now that we're getting into the 60s and even into the 70s next week, I'm so excited. It's my birthday on St. Patrick's Day and it's supposed to be like 75 here in Los Alamos, which will be beautiful. So it has just started to lift that depressive winter cloud that tends to hang over us that we don't even really realize is there. And it really just got me motivated to do some resets and some cleaning, if you will, of a lot of things. So I decided it'd be a fun place to come chat with you here on the podcast about what I'm doing and just to inspire you guys a little bit so that you can also have this little fun spring reset with me, because spring naturally invites that renewal, right? It's this time of year where the grass is starting to show up, the sun and warmth is starting to come out, flowers are starting to bloom, although we haven't gotten all the flowers out yet, but that is it. It's rebirth. It is renewal. It is fresh. And when we're coming out of winter, we tend to feel the opposite of that, right? We're tired, we're stiff, we're a little more disconnected and overwhelmed, struggling to restart healthy habits. And spring often brings the pressure to suddenly get your body back or jump into intense workouts. But most women's bodies need a little reconnection first. And winter really does leave our body feeling off. And I want to talk a little bit about that first, because there's the obvious thing, right? Like less sunshine, but this is a huge thing. We take it for granted, especially if you live in a sunshine state like me. No, we're not in Florida, but New Mexico is full of sunshine and I love it. But it's surprising, even living in a state that's full of sunshine, most of us still aren't getting enough. I know I just got my labs back and my vitamin D is low, even though I've been out in the sun a little more now that it is warming up. But I do know during winter I wasn't, because it was cold and windy and I didn't want to be out in that. Now, yeah, there have been winters I was outside a lot more, even when it was snowing and cold, but that was because it was snowy and fun. This winter was terrible. We did not go out very often. Although actually we did get out and walk a little bit more than I normally would have, because it wasn't super snowy. So when it was an icy wind, it wasn't terrible outside. But I definitely didn't enjoy being outside as much as I normally do. And that adds up over time. And it really does. Vitamin D impacts our health way more than we realize. It is a precursor for so many other reactions and events and building blocks in our body. So we really need that vitamin D. And it really directly correlates to our mood and our energy. And that is important for motivation when we are trying to start something or be consistent with something, or if we're just passionate and want to show up, right? But if we don't have the energy, that can be frustrating. So we need to get that vitamin D and sunshine in. So less sunshine is a big reason that winter really can leave us feeling off, but it also does come with less movement, right? Because it is cold and we're inside more, unless you are a big outdoor winter sport enthusiast, right? You skied a lot, you snowboarded. We did go ice skating a couple times, but I know that's not I didn't power skate, right? I'm just leisurely skating. It was fun. It was a great activity. We did a few times with my family. But I was bummed I didn't get any snowboarding in, because that one does feel like an intense workout. So other than going to the gym, I didn't get any extra movement in outside. So there was less movement, although I did still prioritize the gym, because otherwise I knew I would have been crazy being locked inside with everybody over the holidays. But there's also more stress, right? The holidays do bring anxiety and pressure, and it disrupts our schedules, which just throws everyone off, having everyone home around the holidays. Then they're trying to adjust back to school. And it feels like when spring's starting to hit, we're finally getting the rhythm of that spring semester routine. We're finally getting to this space where we feel more motivated to, dare we say, spring clean, right? It's fresh. We're ready for that new start. And so that's where we really do want to take into account the reality that winter does. One, I think it's a good thing that it slows us down. We need seasons like that to calm us, to ground us, to slow us down in cultures and society that keep us just push, push, go, go, go. And I think we need to honor that and not push through a winter and make our winter chaos and busy. But we do also need to realize that less movement, less sunlight, less, interactions does come with more tension, more stiffness, less coordination, and it can cause flare-ups of symptoms. And I know specifically, we'll talk spring, right? Allergy season is coming in, because here in New Mexico, we do have all the allergies, which is so fun. So lots of sneezing, lots of runny noses and blowing our nose, which has its own host of flares and symptoms in the pelvic floor. People see leaking a lot more. I've done episodes on this before, and maybe I'll do one this spring on allergy season and flares there, but we're more just doing a fun spring reset. So this is my little spring reset framework, shall we call it, but it's essentially just a 5-piece reset, and I want you to just take it as you will. Let it inspire you, let it motivate you. I don't want it to pressure you or add overwhelm or another to do, and you don't need to follow this step by step, right? But just start to explore these different areas I'm going to talk about and see how you might want to refresh them. And with that being said, I would love to hear how you take a spin on this spring renewal, and post it in your Instagram or Facebook stories, and make sure you're tagging me at The Balanced Momtality so that I can see your fun ideas. I always love to see what people take away from this show. So with that being said, number 1 is to reset your breath and nervous system. Yes, we had to talk breath and nervous system, right? We just got done talking about how winter can create so much tension and disconnect and stress. And I did do a New Year pelvic reset. I always have this super fun 5-day pelvic reset challenge in January where we did talk about this as one of those resets, right? We need to reset our nervous system, but we're going to not be exact as that reset, just so you know. I just wanted to clarify that aspect, that while this was in that pelvic reset challenge, this isn't going to be cookie cutter from that. But I would be, remiss if I didn't mention that we do need to reset our nervous system and our breath. We need to catch up and become aware of what did that last season do to my body? Was it stressful? Was it actually pretty calm and peaceful? And now I'm getting anxious because things are picking back up with all sports and activities and school and all of that? Or was winter and the holidays stressful? You didn't get out as much. Your kids were all home driving you nuts. People got sick fighting colds all the time, right? And maybe you're in both scenarios where you're like, winter was chaos and spring is chaos. Let's be real, Des. There's no real break in motherhood because that's where I'm at, guys. Winter was chaos and spring is chaos. I know my kids are all about to be in sports this next week once my little guy starts t-ball, and it is going to be a lot. But that is why we have to take these moments to check in. And I think that transitions and periods like moments between seasons, but even moments between your week, right? Like we have a weekly reset, or in the evening having a daily reset, or maybe throughout your day, every hour you're having a body check reset because you sit at your desk all day, right? These resets are super helpful because they help you just check in and audit, where am I showing up in my body and in my life and right now, right? And is that how I want to feel? Is that how I want to show up? So we have to check in with our breathing. Are we becoming a shallow breather again? Are we still doing a good job of breathing deep into our core system and using that diaphragm? Because that does help with our nervous system, therefore helping with our anxiety, therefore helping with stress and inflammation and pain and tension, okay? So I do encourage some daily 360 core breathing, right? But even add in like some rib cage mobility, some spinal mobility, get in a little bit of movement, especially starting slow with gentle mobility moves like cat-cow and child's pose and bow and arrow, just trying to bring movement back into your body. Especially if we slow our exhale down, which I've mentioned before, really helps to calm the nervous system. But also adding here to ground and get into the nervous system aspect and practices of grounding, like getting more sunlight, going for walks outside. Now that it's warming up, I'm super excited to be able to stick my feet in the dirt and drink my coffee outside in the morning. I love doing that. I also love walking outside barefoot on some soft, cushy grass, which last summer I was so spoiled because the golf course in our neighborhood was closed, getting renovated, so we were able to walk on it almost all summer, and now it's about to open this weekend, and so I won't be able to walk on it while it's nice, but I will walk on it in the evening, which is so soft and squishy and comfortable and just such a nice way to connect and get movement at the same time. And obviously this is so helpful because in your nervous system gets regulated. Your pelvic floor then can coordinate and move with your breath because, again, we're not just thinking breath when we're thinking 360 core breathing, right? When we are talking breath and 360 core breathing, we are remembering and acknowledging that the pelvic floor is a big part of that breath. The pelvic floor expands on that inhale. It recoils or contracts on the exhale. We need that coordination for core engagement, okay? The next reset is your movement. So just getting a little bit more into like, what did your fitness look like in the winter? Because after winter, many women go from 0 to a lot of intense HIIT workouts, going for long runs, trying to lift heavy, and they end up causing problems, right? And we don't want that. So we first just want to start with gentle mobility. Maybe you are getting in some little walks. Start with foundational strength training with your body weight before you add any weight in. Make sure you are getting some glute and hip strength there, obviously. Everything's core too. just have to say that, right? Every moment is core, because we should be breathing in our core and we should be bracing in our core when we are moving and exercising. But this is when you might switch it up. Like maybe you have been in the gym all winter because it was cold, and now that it's warming up, you're excited to get out and hike, or maybe even do yoga in the backyard, or go swim in an outdoor pool, right? Like let's just refresh what that looks like. And if you're anything like me, I'm still going to go to the gym. I'm still going to my classes, but I am going to start adding in more outdoor walks and hikes. But I think a little reset for this, something that I've been doing, right? And this is the thing, right? Like even the breath work, one of the things that the reset with the nervous system, the piece that I've been loving getting in now is getting outside and getting that grounding piece. And the movement aspect, the thing that I've been doing to kind of refresh and make my movement fun again is I am switching up my workouts. So even though I'm going to the gym, I have switched up my routines. I'm doing a different programming. I'm trying some different moves that I haven't tried in a while, and that just makes it fresh and fun. And personally, I have also been very motivated to get into the sauna after my strength training gym session lately. And so the sauna has been a fun way that has also been kind of refreshing both my nervous system grounding and my exercise, because it's kind of my reward for at the end of my exercises. But just start thinking about how you could refresh and renew your movement and your exercise. Is it trying a new exercise completely? Is it just switching up the exercise movements that you've been doing lately? Is it, getting outside? What is it? Let's add something new and fun so that we're not just doing the same mundane things over and over. But these foundations of mobility and breath and movement through walking, foundational strength, right? Glute strength, core strength, being aware of your posture. These are all foundations that protect your pelvic floor, and they can be game changers by just sneaking them in and becoming aware of a little more movement, aware of your posture, aware of your steps that you're getting. And yeah, let's make it fun. And the next thing that we are going to reset and reconnect with is your core connection. So again, coming off of winter with tension, a more shallow breath probably, maybe we haven't been moving as much, and we are resetting our movement, but this does come with that deeper connection of that core, right? And many women do hold their breath, overbrace, or just completely disconnect from their core. And whether this is because of winter, or maybe they had a trauma or a surgery, or just a lot of stressful events happening lately in their lives, it is never a bad idea to just check back in and assess, how am I holding myself? How am I using my core? Am I turning it on when I'm supposed to? Am I clenching and sucking in and over bracing because I'm guarded and carrying a lot of stress, right? Like we first have to become aware of what we're doing before we can even rewire and rebuild strength and those connections. So to help encourage this rebuild and connection, again, think breath and pelvic floor with that piston movement. Inhale, relax everything. And when we are braced, we do want to feel that exhale lift, but also start bracing. Like, how does it feel to brace? Are we getting that zipper from the bottom up? Are we getting a little pelvic floor lift, right? Is that starting that zipper jacket? And is this functionally overlapping? Like not just in the gym, but when you're picking up your kids, are you thinking of your brace? When you're picking up your heavy laundry baskets, are you picking up your brace, right? So maybe in this sense for our reset here, where you are moving around your house, just start to check in and make it like a little fun game of awareness, right? Oh, this is a moment of effort. Am I bracing? Cool. Good job, me. Am I not? Oh, time to brace and get engaged more, right? And so for me as a reset or reconnection practice, what I find fun, especially for days that I haven't gotten a good workout in, or I just I don't know, have the energy to pay more attention to it. If I'm just already cleaning my house and trying to pick up and tidy things up, I am thinking of it as a workout. I'm not just thinking of it as a chore, because in my brain, if I think of it more as a workout, then I am aware of my brace. I am aware of my breath. I am aware of how my body is bending and flexing and lifting and carrying things. And so let's see, how many squats can you do with that heavy laundry basket? How many times can you lift that milk overhead before you put it in the fridge? How many times can you do a single leg stance while you're washing the dishes, right? Like there's a lot of cool places you can habit stack movement and core connection. But this also does play in to our last episodes where we talked about tension and working with strength and pain. And so that's definitely a place you can get more tools. And I will probably have another episode on habit stacking and some fun ways to get in good core and pelvic floor exercises and strategies throughout the day, because that was a very popular episode in the past. But beyond core connection, right? Resetting your core. The other thing that I think is really helpful to reset here is your environment. And this one is the thing that people think of, right? Spring cleaning. And that's what I've been super, having a fun time with lately, is just trying to brighten up my house, declutter things, and this can be overwhelming in itself, but it's time to get rid of the holiday clutter. It's time to bring your home back to life and make it a place that people want to be in, a place that encourages you to move, encourages you to eat well, encourages you to sleep well, and encourages you to connect with your family. And so if you take a look around your spaces, how do they make you feel, right? Does your kitchen make you feel like eating healthy and cooking healthy? Does your living room feel like a place you and your family want to connect in? Or maybe that's even a place that you're also getting some movement in. Is there room for that? Is that inviting for you? Or is your workout space cluttered and chaotic, right? And nothing's really setting you up for success here. So this is where just start with one small space at a time, because it can be overwhelming. If you're anything like me, I'm looking at everywhere in my house and everywhere needs some decluttering, and it's a lot. And if you are like me, you're going around every room, picking things up, getting distracted in another room, and you feel like you're never getting anything done. So what I had to do this weekend was literally just one space. I had to set a timer and I just stayed in one space and I made piles to go outside of that space. That way I wasn't getting so distracted in the other rooms, putting the other stuff away. So just start with one small space, even set a timer for 15 minutes, even just 5 minutes can create a big difference in decluttering. But if you get taken away and you keep going, then keep going, but don't push yourself to do the whole thing at once. And yes, just recognize that obviously as we declutter, things get messier before they get cleaner, and that's okay. But you do want to start with a doable and probably also like an obvious zone, because if it's obvious and in your face, maybe it's your entryway, maybe it's your dining table everything gets thrown on, maybe it's the living room. Like right now our living room couch is full of clothes, so I want to go get all of that taken care of, because that will make a big difference. And it is a space that we see all the time, and when you do have a space that you're around all the time that gives you that big bang for your buck feel of, oh, this feels so good, it does motivate you to keep decluttering and keep resetting, and also just freshen up your house, whether that's using some essential oils in your cleaner, especially some fun citrusy or florally things, right? We're getting out of the like more desserty scents, right? The apple pie, the pumpkin pie smells, the cinnamony smells, and the cozy smells. We're getting more into the fresh, lively smells, right? Bring some spearmint, some peppermint, some citrus, some tangerine in your house, and lemon. This all helps freshen things up, whether it's in a diffuser, in your cleaners that you're using, and that scent really makes a big difference. Also, open your windows. If it's getting warm enough where you're at, this fresh breeze does wonders to bring life back to your home. I wish my house had more windows that I could open, but just start airing everything out and bring some fresh air in. And the last thing I'm going to say on this one that I think can be really fun is also getting to where you can, not always is this possible, but I think it is fun if you can switch up your decor, right? Like switch up your throw pillows or the blankets that are out, or just put out some fun, fresh decor that isn't adding clutter, but just adds inspiration and adds to the vibe that you want to feel there. Okay, my last thing is put on some fun music. This was something I've been doing in the mornings for my kids that has been a game changer because it just starts the day off in a good space. So pick some fun, fresh music to liven up your spaces and definitely reset your environment so that it's setting you up for success, because your environment really impacts your mental health, but also your physical health. Okay, so let's reset that home space. The last, but definitely not least thing that I'm going to touch on today in terms of our spring reset is your relationship with your body. And this is really important, but it is really difficult, right? I'm not going to sit here and lie about how easy it is just to reconnect and change how we feel about our bodies. But your body doesn't need punishment after winter. It needs reconnection. And sometimes after winter, we're so hard on ourselves. Maybe we indulged in more sweets than we wanted. Maybe we didn't move as much as we wanted. Maybe things were stressful and we didn't have energy, right? Whatever you're feeling coming out of winter, we have to let it go. And not only let it go, but we need to honor it, right? Like that's where we were at and that's okay. And now we're in a space that we feel a little different and we can give gratitude for that feeling, right? We're feeling a little motivated to do something differently, to get moving again, to freshen our spaces up and declutter, right? To get in some nervous system grounding and breath work, versus feeling like we are a fat piece of shit for not doing anything and forcing ourselves to go to the gym. That is not the right decision. And not only because it's going to the gym, but because you're doing it out of guilt and shame on yourself versus honoring what your body went through, what you needed to do in that time. And maybe you didn't make the best decisions, but that's okay because we're learning from them. And that's why we're not going to regret it. We're not going to be hard on ourselves. We're just starting fresh and trying to change our habits, okay? And so we want to encourage this shift from punishment and shame and quote unquote fixing your body to really more honoring and listening and supporting and rebuilding, okay? Because that is what really changes how you continue to show up for yourself, because it's changing how you feel about yourself. And when you feel like you are valuable and you deserve to feel good, then you make decisions from a space of love in your body and not a space of shame and hate, okay? And your body physically feels that feeling, whatever you choose. If it was that you're choosing shame and hate and guilt versus love and acceptance, your body's going to respond differently. Both people could be going to the gym, but if one person is going out of love for themselves and the other person is going out of shame and guilt, I can tell you for a fact the person going out of love is going to hit their goals way quicker. And that might sound wooey to you, but it's scientifically how the body works. We cannot shame ourselves into health, okay? And that should probably be its own episode. But with that being said, I just wanted to give you guys a little inspiration, something fun to end the week and start off this warm weekend with a little spring reset and a little example of a reset routine. This could be daily, this could be whenever you think about it, but just do 5 minutes of breath work, 5 minutes of mobility, and 5 minutes of strength. Okay, obviously this was a movement reset. We didn't talk about resetting your environment here. We didn't talk about the body relationship aspect here, but that's not to say they're not part of this, okay? But just as a little simple, doable, and sustainable reset for your movement and your connection to yourself, let's just start with that. 5 minutes of breath work, 5 minutes of mobility, and 5 minutes of strength or walking. And if that sounds like too much for you, friend, just pick one for today, okay? And then tomorrow you can do the next one. But many people do struggle with these steps of just reconnection and getting back into their body. And especially if you're finding it hard right now, you're finding it hard to make the structure, you're finding it hard to decide what to do, you're finding it hard to get the motivation, then definitely reach out to me again for coaching, or if you are interested in the Restore program, because the Restore program is really where all of my strategies are laid out for 12 weeks straight with lessons. Every week has a 5-minute and 20-minute breath work and mobility and strength routine. We are talking mobility, breath work, core rehab, strength progressions, nervous system support, and pelvic floor education. And for the month of March, it is on sale for $500 off, okay? So for $497 right now, as part of my birthday sale, you can get Restore for so much cheaper than it normally is. So that information is in the show notes. If you want any other tips or feedback or coaching or support, please reach out. Again, information in the show notes below. But spring is a reminder that growth doesn't happen overnight. It happens through consistent nourishment, okay? So let's start nourishing our bodies one step at a time. And I'll see you here next week, right before I turn 35 for my birthday here on the Pelvic Floor Core and More show. And stay tuned next week because we're going to have a fun birthday podcast just for you. Well, that's it for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and I want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day. I know you've got so many other important things going on, but I hope it was helpful and you leave here with some tools to help you in your healing journey. And I just want to ask you, if you have found this helpful, to please leave a review on iTunes. Scroll down to the bottom of my podcast page and leave that 5-star review so it can help other women see this information. And also, if you want to be a part of my community of amazing women trying to balance all the things, great tips and insight and sharing stories and just motivating each other along the way, feel free to join my Facebook group, The Balanced Mentality, Wellness and Support. I hope to see you here next time on the Balanced Mentality Podcast.